Hello folks. Hello folks. We're going today to make bread and basic bread, French bread with a healthy crust. And I was recording earlier, but I lost the recording, so I had already put the yeast in here. And I will show you the type of yeast that I used, and it's this kind of yeast, and that I bought and I keep in a jar in the refrigerator. So I have 20 grams of this. I was saying earlier that we need a thermometer. You need the room to be at least 68 degrees. Right now it's 70 degrees. So what I did is that I let the oven put on the oven and open the door for a little bit to warm up the room. So here we go. So I have this. We're going to do the direct method. Earlier I was talking about the pouliche or levain or even autolyse. Autolyse consists of putting just the flour and the water together, and either you have an autolyse of 20 minutes or you have an autolyse of overnight, 8 hours or so. Overnight, and that gives it, somehow it soaks the dough, and then the next day you add the salt, and then you mix it. You add the yeast and the salt and you mix it. But today we're going to do the direct method. So I have the yeast in there, 20 grams. I have 16 grams of salt. Okay, so here it is, and so I'm just going to mix the two together. I'm not so much worried about this dry yeast or salt killing the yeast. Or that's true only in certain circumstances, but for this our purpose today, it is not. Okay, so unless you let the dough rest overnight, that kind of a thing, then it is important not to mix them. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and add my 650 grams of water. Okay, and I'm gonna add it and then mix up with a little just a spatula. Sometimes people are too shy for this bread making, but it's actually very easy, and the more you do it, the more you're going to hopefully like it and make your own bread at least once a week. I think it's kind of a nice ritual to have. It connects us to the past centuries and stuff, and you can do it on a home oven. Not to worry, you don't need one of those fancy ovens or hearth oven or bricks. Or I mean, you could put bricks, but you can buy the pizza stones, a couple of them, or even one. It's perfect. Just remember that when you're putting the pizza, it takes longer than the wire rack to come up to temperature. So you have to plan for it. So that way it gets really hot, because when you put the bread on the stone, remember the bread bakes from the bottom up. Okay, so the stone has to be at that temperature, 450 that is. So that way when you open the oven, you lose some, but since the stone retains heat more than just the wire, then you'll be safe. Alrighty, here we go. So I have a little extra flour here just from my hands and stuff, so I'm going to put all this away. I don't think I'll need this again, but just in case, I'm going to keep it right here. And then I'm going to put my dough right on the working surface here. Here we go. And one of the things is that it's important to wash this or get it under water right away, because once this dough hardens up, it's kind of really a mess to clean. So I'm just going to run the cold water, and then I'm just kind of, you know, just play with it, you know. It's just kind of bring the water and the flour together, just like a mixer does. There's no need to kind of elongate it like this, you see. And then I'm just going to go like this, and then fold it, see. And then you kind of get a sense of the dough, and it lets you know exactly what it needs. Look at that. I'm just kind of punching it with my thumbs. And I know you might say, oh, he's got big hands. Yeah, but really you don't, because it's, look at that, it's so soft. Then you just kind of like this. And what we're doing here is kind of, we are elongating the strands in the flour. Here we go. You know, kind of like this a little bit. Now I'm starting to talk like that, the guy that teaches painting. Oh my gosh, really? See that? See, it's already, look at that. Okay. Voila, see? And then kind of like you're doing a baguette type thing, you know, that kind of a thing. And then when we have kind of that all that has come together, then we're going to, again, this is a type of mixing actually. Look at that. And we're going to do, oh, here we go. And then again, you notice that I have not added any flour. And then, and if it gets a little too hard, you can just let it rest for a few minutes. See that? I'm just going to do another roll again. And then, see, maybe now it's a little, see, it's telling me already, see that it's telling me it needs a little rest. Okay, because we're doing it by hand, obviously I don't have the strength of a mixer. And by the way, this kind of a dough, don't try to use one of these mixers. That hook is not that strong enough for this. So you'll damage the motor. These are really made for whipping. And you whip it good with this. Or even just the pallet. But it's not that strong of a motor, although it's KitchenAid, the 5-quart. For this kind of dough, it's better than it's fun. It's fun. It's meditative. Look at that. Because communicating with these little strands. See, I hold it like this, then I make another big baguette. Look at that. See, it's what I'm doing now. I'm kind of pulling it together. Here we go. And so I've seen even people kind of roll it like a snake kind of thing. Look at that. And then flatten it. So people have been doing. See, this is kind of mixing that you need, and while playing with it, it isn't. You see, the dough will let you know when it's ready. See that? Because it's going to start to break. So I'm just going to, see? So I have 1 kilo of flour, which is a little over, slightly over 2 pounds. I have 20 grams, I think I measured it as 2 tablespoons plus 2 teaspoons, if you don't have a scale. And the 20 grams are 3/4 of an ounce. Yeah, that's what yes, 3/4 of an ounce is 2 tablespoons plus 2 teaspoons. And then as far as the salt is, in every ounce there are 20, if I'm not mistaken, 25 grams or 24 grams something. Yeah, So 16 is over half. But it's good to have a scale, you know. It's scale the grams, and we're moving into grams nowadays and metrics. Okay, so here it is. And it's, how do I know? See, it's flattening. And it's not breaking. I don't want it to break. You see, it's giving in. So, see that? And then I'm just gonna cut a little bit. See if the membrane kind of still stays the same. So here we go. I'm just gonna let it rest for a little bit. And I'm gonna grab a smaller bowl. This one is better. Okay, maybe just put a little bit of flour in here, and right there. And of course, I am going to I'm going to cover it. And voila. I'm going to cover it with a plastic wrap, or perhaps a cloth, if you have a cloth or plastic wrap. So the hydration on this is 65%, which is 650 grams. So I'm just going to let it rest for 30 minutes. It's going to come up because the temperature is right now, it's about 69 or so. It's and I'll talk more about the importance of temperatures a little bit later. It's very important. And also, so I'm going to let it rest for 30 minutes. I'm going to punch it down, let it another 30 minutes, punch it down, another 30 minutes. So I do that 3 to 4 times. Then I cut it into the size. And to be honest with you, a home baking, it's better. And I'm going to show you what I did. Unfortunately, I had left it too long in the oven. And it kind of burnt with the taste, but I love this kind of thing. So it'll be like this. I mean, this is yesterday. I made this yesterday. And you know, it's just exactly like this I did yesterday. So it's a little bit on the dark side, but again, you know, it's a nice crust, and I just love the smell of it. Anyway, it's so we're gonna do smaller boules rather than a big one. Okay. And but you know, you're welcome to try a big one. It'll take longer to bake, of course, and you're going to use what they call in French chaleur tombante, which is start out very high at 500 degrees, come to 450 to 400 to eventually to 350. A good friend of mine makes in miche, you know, one of those big ones. It takes a good 2 hours, at least minimum hour and a half. And you need chaleur tombante, so that way you don't have too thick of a crust. You want a thick crust, but you don't want it so thick that you you end up at the dentist. You don't want to do that, even if you have insurance. Okay, so that is it. And then I'll come back a little bit later. I'll come back at the first punch, so just to show you where it is. Then perhaps I hope by now you have started this process, and then you can just follow along. And then I'll come back when we'll do the shaping. Okay, tout de suite.